There's something fascinating about someone who reacts with a mix of panic and irritation when surprised, as if a birthday party or an unexpected gift were an ambush. While most people smile when opening an unexpected package or being taken to a surprise dinner, they seem to freeze, as if the brain has triggered an alarm. Danger. Something is out of control. But what does this visceral reaction hide? Is it just a matter of personal taste, or is there a deeper emotional architecture behind this aversion? First, it must be said that there is nothing wrong with hating surprises. It's not frivolity, nor lack of gratitude. Some simply work better when things follow a predictable script, and that doesn't make them any less interesting or emotionally rich. In fact, it could be a sign that they value authenticity over spectacle. But if we dig a little deeper, we will find layers that reveal a lot about how these people see the world and themselves. One of the most common reasons is linked to the need for control. For those who have experienced situations in which the unexpected brought pain, a sudden dismissal, a betrayal, a loss, surprise is not synonymous with joy, but with instability. The brain, in this case, acts like a hypervigilant guardian. If I don't know what's coming, I can't prepare. And if I can't prepare, I might get hurt. Over time, any break in routine becomes a potential threat, even if it is a loving gesture. It's as if the nervous system is saying, I prefer the safety of the known to the risk of the unknown, no matter how beautiful it may seem. Another possibility is that these people associate surprises with manipulation. Those who grew up in environments where gifts came with conditions, I gave you this, now you owe me, or where apparently generous gestures hid ulterior motives, learn to distrust the unexpected. For them, a surprise is not an act of pure love, but an emotional bargaining chip. The brain then reacts with suspicion. What do they want from me in return? In this case, the aversion is not to the surprise itself, but to what it may represent, an unspoken debt, an unrevealed expectation. There are still those for whom the problem is not the surprise, but the exposure. People who are highly introverted or have traits of social anxiety may feel overwhelmed when they are suddenly thrust into the spotlight. A surprise party, for example, is not just a celebration, it is a stage where all eyes are on them, where they are forced to perform happiness under pressure. For those who already struggle to deal with their own visibility, this can be exhausting, as if they were actors forced to improvise a monologue without rehearsal. The reaction, then, is not ingratitude, but self-preservation. But here comes the key twist. This apparent coldness in the face of surprises can hide silent wisdom. Those who reject the unexpected often value depth over performance. They prefer a planned coffee with a sincere conversation to a party full of balloons and forced smiles. For them, true affection does not need theater, it shows itself in small things, in constancy, in what is genuine and not performative. In this sense, their aversion to surprises can be an authenticity filter. They don't want love in shiny packaging, they want love without an instruction manual. If you are one of these people, know that you are not boring, nor are you difficult to please. Maybe you just learned that life is unpredictable enough and that, in a world full of Pandora's boxes, you'd rather only open the ones you chose. And this, far from being a defect, can be a way of protecting yourself to love better. After all, when you allow things to happen in your time, at your pace, you are telling the world, I deserve to be happy on my own terms. And if someone one day tells you, if you call yourself difficult because you don't like surprises, remember, you are not a problem to be solved, but a person who knows what you need to feel safe. And that, deep down, is the biggest surprise of all, the discovery that you don't need to adapt to what others think is happiness. Yours is already there, quietly, waiting to be found in the way that makes sense to you. If this makes sense to you, tell me in the comments, what bothers you most about surprises? And if you know someone like this, share this text, they might feel less alone when reading it. Oh, and if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Until next time, and may life surprise you only when you let it. What if I told you that your aversion to surprises is not a whim, but an emotional map? Think about it. When you turn down an unexpected gift, postpone a last-minute trip, or ask to know the details of a surprise dinner in advance, you're not being annoying. You are, in fact, drawing the contours of your emotional territory. A place where things happen with permission, not by imposition. That's because, at some point, you learned a lesson that many still don't understand. True freedom is not the absence of rules, but the ability to choose which rules are worth following. And for you, rule number 1 is simple: nothing enters your life without passing through the filter of your consent. The paradox of surprise: why the unexpected can be a trap. Society loves to romanticize improvisation. Let life surprise you, they say, as if chance were always an ally. But what happens when the surprise is not a gift, but an emotional debt? A commitment that you didn't want to make, a plan that destabilizes your routine, a gesture that, despite being well-intentioned, makes you feel invaded. Therein lies the crux of the matter. For some people, the unexpected is not an invitation to adventure, but a breach of contract. An invisible contract you made with yourself: I deserve to be consulted about what affects my peace. And when that contract is violated, even out of love, even out of carelessness, something inside you sounds the alarm. It's not stubbornness. It's self-preservation. The science behind I don't like surprises. Neuroscientists have discovered that people with a low tolerance for the unexpected have more intense activity in the amygdala, the region of the brain responsible for detecting threats. For them, a sudden change of plans activates the same circuits as a real danger. This is not an exaggeration. It's biology. Your brain is wired to prioritize safety over novelty, and that's not a defect, it's a survival strategy. In fact, studies show that people who plan in advance tend to have heavy checkmark lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Heavy checkmark greater sense of control over your own life. Heavy checkmark more genuine relationships, because they don't say yes out of obligation. In other words, your problem with surprises may actually be a superpower in disguise. What really bothers you isn't the surprise, it's what it represents. Let's be honest, no one hates all surprises. What bothers us is not the unexpected element itself, but what it symbolizes. Someone decided for me. A surprise can be a subtle invasion of autonomy. When they stump you with a gift you didn't ask for or a plan you didn't agree on, the subliminal message is, I know what's best for you than you do. Now I have to give back. Surprises often come with invisible strings. An unexpected dinner becomes a social debt. A gift for no reason turns into pressure to respond. This is going to mess up my routine. For those who value structure, the unexpected is not exciting, it's exhausting. Because after the surprise comes the work of reorganizing everything to get back into balance. The naked truth. You are not afraid of the new. You have me. Of losing control over your own life. How to turn this weakness into strength. If you've recognized yourself so far, know that you're not doomed to be the annoying person who ruins the fun. In fact, you can use this feature to your advantage. 1. Be the master of consensual surprises. Instead of saying I don't like surprises, try, I love it when people surprise me, after they tell me they're going to do so. Yes, it's possible. Example. Do you want to take me to dinner? Let me know the day, but you can choose the restaurant without telling me. 2. Create an emergency protocol for unforeseen events. Have a mental plan B for when things get out of control. This reduces anxiety because you know that even in the chaos, you have an anchor. Example. If someone shows up at your house unannounced, have a phrase ready. I loved seeing you. Let's take it easy so we can enjoy it better. 3. Use your aversion to the unexpected to filter relationships. People who respect their limits are the ones who are worth it. Those who insist on doing you good by force. They don't deserve space in your life. Key phrase: if you love me, you'll know me. And if you know me, you'll know that I need advance notice. 4. Celebrate your ability to say no. In a world that glorifies the automatic yes, refusing what doesn't serve you is a revolutionary act. Remember, every no you give to something you don't want is a yes to something you deserve. The biggest surprise of all, you don't have to change. Here's the irony: the world pressures you to like surprises, but the biggest surprise of your life may be discovering that you don't need to adapt to it. You are not difficult. It's not rigid. It's not bland. You are someone who understands that happiness is not in what suits you, but in what you choose to embrace. And that, my friend, is the kind of wisdom that most people only discover after a lot of pain. Now tell me, what's your worst nightmare surprise? Everyone has that kind of unforeseen event that makes their blood run cold. For some, it's someone showing up unannounced. For others, it is an expensive gift that comes with charges. And there are those who simply change plans at the last minute and it's enough to ruin the day. In the comments, tell me, Black Right Arrow, what is the surprise that bothers you the most? And why? Black Right Arrow, have you managed to transform this characteristic into something positive? And if you know someone who feels this way, share this text, they might finally feel understood instead of judged. Oh, and if you want more reflections like this, no surprises, just with prior notice, turn on notifications and save this profile. Because here, we talk about things that no one has the courage to admit. Until next time. And may life surprise you, only when you allow it. Glowing star. Why does this text work? Validates without judging. The reader feels accepted, not fixed. Explains the science behind, gives credibility to what is often seen as freshness. Offers practical solutions, it's not just theory, it shows how to apply it in everyday life. Empowers, transforms a weakness into a superpower. Engage, personal questions in the comments plus clear CTA, share, save, activate notifications. Extra tip, if you want to go even deeper, you can create a series with themes such as, why do some people hate being praised? The problem isn't that you're introverted, it's that the world is too noisy. How to say no without guilt, and without seeming rude. The secret. Always start with a common pain, explore the root causes, and end with empowerment. This way, the reader leaves understood, informed and inspired and comes back for more. Continuation of the text. Expansion with engagement techniques. What if I told you that your problem is actually an authenticity radar? Think about it. Those who are suspicious of compliments generally have an internal filter so refined that they can distinguish, within seconds, an empty greeting of genuine admiration. This is not a defect, it is a social superpower. While most people deceive themselves with beautiful words, they see the intentions behind the phrases. But here comes the question that few ask, what happens when that radar turns against you? Just imagine, if you doubt the praise of others, you are likely to also distrust your own merits. The brain, in this case, acts like an implacable judge. Do I really deserve it? Wasn't it luck? Wasn't it obligation? And so, until his own achievements become suspect. This has a name, imposter syndrome. And no, it's not coolness, it's a survival mechanism that has become dysfunctional. At some point, you learned that compliments were dangerous, because they came with demands, or false, because whoever said them was untrustworthy. Now, your brain confuses protection with self-sabotage. But what if we reprogrammed this? The 3 compliments exercise, for those who don't know how to receive them. 1. The compliment you ignored. Think about a compliment you received recently and dismissed. Oh, it was just polite. Ask yourself, what if it were true? Write down how you would feel if you accepted. 2. The compliment you never gave yourself. Quality that you recognize in others, but deny in yourself, e.g. I'm a good listener, but I think it's not enough. Challenge, write, I admit that I am, quality, because, concrete example. 3. The compliment you fear. The one who, if he listened, would leave you vulnerable. You are important to me. Reflection, what does this fear protect? And what does it stop me from living? Why does this work? Because compliments aren't about deserving, they're about permission. Permission to occupy space, to be seen, to exist without justification. The trap of toxic humility. There are people who confuse not liking praise with being humble. But there is a crucial difference. Healthy humility, I recognize my qualities, but I don't need to brag. Toxic humility, if I accept that I'm good at this, I'll become arrogant, selfish, ungrateful. This second version is a prison. Because, deep down, it's not humility, it's fear of shining. Fear that if you embrace your worth, someone will take it away from you. Practical example. Someone says, you cook very well. Toxic response, oh no, it was just luck, anyone would do it. Empowered response, thank you. I tried hard to learn. Simple. Honest. Without belittling. What happens when you start accepting compliments? 1. Your brain relearns to trust. Each sincere thank you reprograms the praise equals danger association. 2. You attract more genuine relationships. People feel comfortable being honest with you, and not just politically correct. 3. Your self-esteem no longer depends on others. Because you begin to validate yourself before seeking external validation. But be careful, this isn't about needing praise, it's about not being afraid of them. There is a subtle but powerful difference. To reflect, and comment here. What was the last compliment you rejected? Why? What do you think would happen if, for a week, you just answered thank you, without being belittling? Is there a quality of yours that you admit in others, but deny in yourself? Leave it in the comments, and if you identify with this, share it with those who also need to hear it. Sometimes, the praise we need most is the one we give ourselves. The secret nobody talks about: compliments are mirrors. When you refuse a compliment, you are saying to the other person, I don't trust your judgment, or you don't know me well enough to say that. But when you accept it, you are saying, I trust you. And I trust myself. And that, my friend, is the beginning of any true relationship with yourself and with the world. Final CTA, with personal touch. If this text resonated with you, do the following. 1. Save this profile, because here we talk about things that no one has color for. Act to admit it, but everyone needs to hear it. 2. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. I promise not to clutter your phone, just insights that are worth it. 3. Comment on your experience. I'm like that with compliments too, because you're not alone in this. 4. Share with that friend who always diverts the subject when someone compliments you. Until the next reflection. And remember, you're not arrogant for accepting a compliment, you're human. Glowing star. Next themes in the series: to maintain engagement. Why some people feel guilty about resting, and how to stop it. The problem isn't that you're sensitive, it's that the world has normalized coldness. How to ask for help without feeling like a burden to others. Why we hate silence in conversations, and what it reveals about us. Why does this work? Thematic series creates expectations and builds audience loyalty. Universal pains, everyone identifies with at least one theme. Progressive empowerment, each text dismantles a limiting belief and offers a practical tool. Extra technique, how to turn this text into a video reel. 1. Visual hook. Image of a person looking away when receiving a compliment, with caption, do you do that too? 2. Pace. Dramatic pauses in key phrases. What happens when that radar turns on you? Change of tone in the 3 compliments exercise part, softer voice, like an invitation. 3. Visual elements. On-screen text. Compliments aren't about deserving, they're about permission. Visual metaphor. Broken mirror rebuilding itself, for the compliments like mirrors part. 4. Call to action at the end. Comment here, which compliment are you most afraid of accepting? And don't forget to follow for more reflections that hurt, in a good way. Why does this format explode? Emotional engagement. The audience sees themselves on the screen. Practical utility, offers an applicable exercise. Shareability, impact phrase plus universal theme. Last tip, always end with a question that invites introspection and concrete action. Comment, save, share. This increases dwell time, algorithm loves it, and creates community. People feel part of something bigger. Now it's up to you, which part of this text will you adapt for your next content? Winking face.